She once said it out loud, with no shame in her voice, "I could never love a poor black man." Those words lived inside Isabella for years, shaped by her family, her friends, her world in Chicago, a world where love was measured by money, status, and what people would say behind closed doors. She believed love was a reward for success, not something found in struggle. Then, one night, inside a tall building filled with smoke, fear, and rushing footsteps, her life slipped out of her control. People who smiled at her every day walked past her without stopping. People she thought mattered did not turn back. And the man she never noticed, the black sweeper she barely spoke to, stopped everything for her. He did not ask who she was. He did not care what she wore, where she worked, or how much money she had. He only saw a woman who could not stand, who could not breathe well, who needed help. And he stayed. As he held her up, step by step, through fear and pain, something inside Isabella began to break. Not her body, but the walls she had built around her heart. That night, love did not arrive with flowers or sweet words. It arrived with strong arms, quiet courage, and a choice to stay when walking away was easier. She would later realize that the man she said she could never love was the same man who showed her what love really was. And once her life was saved, her heart was never the same again. Isabella learned early in life how to stand tall without shaking. In Chicago, that mattered. Her mother taught her how to walk into a room and make people notice her before she spoke. Her father taught her how to listen only to voices that could help her move forward. By the time Isabella reached her late 20s, she had learned the rules so well that she followed them without thinking. She worked high above the streets of Chicago, inside a glass building where people spoke softly and smiled carefully. Isabella wore clean suits, carried a calm face, and never showed doubt. People described her as sharp, driven, and polished. She described herself as focused. Love, to her, was something planned, measured, and chosen with care. It was not something that arrived by surprise. On that afternoon, Isabella stood near the elevator doors, checking her reflection in the metal surface. Her hair sat perfectly, her blazer fit well, everything looked right. She felt ready for the meeting ahead, ready to impress people who mattered. As the elevator doors opened, she stepped out and walked down the hallway. The floors were clean, the air smelled faintly of polish, and voices echoed softly from offices behind closed doors. This building was a place where nothing messy was allowed. Feelings were kept quiet here. Mistakes were hidden fast. Isabella passed by a man pushing a cleaning cart. He moved slowly, wiping the glass with care, then stopping to pick up a piece of paper that had fallen to the floor. He did not rush. He did not look around to see who was watching. He simply did his work. She noticed him without meaning to. He was tall, black, and dressed in plain work clothes. His hands were steady. His face was calm. He did not look tired or angry like some of the other workers she had seen over the years. There was something firm about the way he stood, like he respected the work he was doing. Isabella kept walking, but the image stayed with her longer than she expected. Later that day, during a short break, Isabella stood near the office windows and looked down at the city below. Chicago stretched out in every direction, loud and busy, full of people whose lives she never thought about. Her assistant spoke beside her, listing tasks and reminders. Isabella nodded, half listening. Her eyes moved back to the hallway. The same man was there again, still working. She watched him straighten a chair, then wipe a table, then move on without complaint. For reasons she could not explain, she kept watching. She asked her assistant who he was. "Micheal," the assistant said. "He's part of the cleaning staff." That was all. Isabella nodded and turned back to her work. She told herself it meant nothing. She had noticed many people before. This was no different. Still, the name stayed in her mind longer than it should have. That evening, Isabella met her mother for dinner at a quiet restaurant in Chicago. The place was clean, calm, and filled with people who dressed and spoke like they belonged there. Her mother smiled as Isabella sat down. They spoke about work, plans, and the future. Her mother asked about promotions and hinted about men Isabella should meet. Men with strong jobs and good families. Men who looked right on paper. Isabella listened and nodded. She had heard it all before. At one point, her mother spoke about love and said something Isabella had heard many times growing up. Love should make life easier, not harder. Love should lift you, not pull you down. Isabella agreed, as she always did. On the way home, she thought again about the man in the hallway. Micheal. She pushed the thought away. He was not part of her world. She would never date a poor black man. The idea did not even feel cruel to her. It felt normal, like a rule she had never questioned. The next day at work, Isabella arrived early. The building was quiet. She walked toward her office when she heard a soft sound behind her. Someone was cleaning the break room. Micheal was there. He nodded politely when he saw her, then stepped aside so she could pass. His voice was calm when he spoke. "Good morning." She returned the greeting without thinking and moved toward the coffee machine. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The room felt still, not awkward, just quiet. Isabella noticed his voice. It sounded clear, steady, not rough or careless. She asked him how long he had worked there. "About 6 months," he said. She asked if he liked the job. He paused before answering, then said it paid the bills. That was all. Something about the way he spoke made her ask another question. She did not know why she cared. He told her he had studied environmental work and hoped to return to it one day. His words were simple, but his meaning was strong. Isabella felt a small shift inside her. This man was not what she expected. Before she could say more, someone called her name from the hallway. Work pulled her away. Meetings followed, emails stacked up, and the day moved fast. Weeks passed. Isabella stayed late one night, working alone. The building felt different after dark. The noise was gone. The lights seemed softer. She packed her things and walked toward the elevator. Then the alarm sounded. It was loud and sudden. Red lights flashed. A voice came over the speaker, telling everyone to leave the building. Smoke drifted from somewhere above. People rushed into the stairwell. Isabella followed, her heels clicking fast on the steps. The stairwell filled with noise, voices, and fear. She tried to keep up, but her breathing grew heavy. Halfway down, her foot slipped. Pain shot through her ankle. She fell hard against the wall. Her bag dropped, spilling onto the steps. People moved past her without stopping. Isabella tried to stand, but her ankle would not hold her weight. Her chest felt tight. Panic crept in. That was when a hand touched her shoulder. She looked up. It was Micheal. "Are you hurt?" he asked. She could barely speak, but she nodded. He did not hesitate. He helped her stand, then held her steady. Step by step, he guided her down the stairs, blocking others when needed. Keeping her safe, he did not complain. He did not rush. He stayed. When they finally reached the bottom, Isabella felt weak, shaken, and alive. Outside, air rushed into her lungs. Sirens sounded in the distance. Micheal stayed until help arrived. Only then did he step back. Isabella looked at him, her eyes filling with tears she did not expect. "Thank you," she said. He nodded, simple and calm, then turned away. As the night settled, Isabella sat alone, replaying everything in her mind. The man she never noticed had stayed when everyone else walked away. And nothing felt the same anymore. The night after the fire stayed with Isabella in a way she could not explain. Even when her ankle rested on a pillow and the room was quiet, her mind would not slow down. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the stairwell again. She heard the alarm. She felt the pain in her ankle. Most of all, she saw Micheal's face when he knelt in front of her and chose to stay. The next morning, Isabella worked from home. Her company allowed it, especially after an emergency. Emails came in one after another, but her focus drifted. She answered messages, joined calls, and smiled when needed, yet her thoughts kept pulling her back to one question. Why did he help me? People she worked with every day had rushed past her. People who spoke of teamwork and leadership had not stopped. But Micheal, the man she barely knew, had carried her down the stairs like her life mattered. Her phone rang. It was her assistant calling with updates about the building. The fire was contained quickly, her assistant said. No serious injuries reported. They will reopen tomorrow. Isabella thanked her, then hesitated. Is everyone okay? She asked. I mean the cleaning staff, too. There was a pause on the line. Yes, her assistant said slowly. Everyone is fine. After the call ended, Isabella stared at the screen, realizing something uncomfortable. She had never asked that question before. Not once. 2 days later, Isabella returned to work. She walked carefully, leaning slightly on the rail as she moved through the hallway. The building looked the same, clean and quiet, but it felt different to her now. The place no longer felt distant and perfect. It felt human. When she reached her office, she found a small note on her desk. I hope your ankle is getting better, Micheal. The note was simple. No company logo, no signature title, just concern. Her throat tightened. She read it twice, then folded it carefully and placed it in her bag. During lunch, Isabella found herself walking through parts of the building she usually ignored. Storage rooms, side hallways, areas where service workers spent most of their time. She told herself she was only stretching her leg, but she knew that was not true. She found Micheal near the recycling area, sorting items into bins with the same careful focus she remembered. Micheal, she said softly. He looked up, surprised, then smiled. Miss Isabella, how is your ankle? Better, she said. Thanks to you. She stood there for a moment, unsure how to continue. Gratitude felt too small for what he had done. I wanted to thank you properly, she said. What you did, it meant more than you know. I just helped, Micheal replied. Anyone would have done the same. Isabella shook her head slowly. No, she said. Not anyone. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small envelope. Then she stopped. The moment felt wrong, too formal, too distant. Micheal noticed her hesitation. You do not have to give me anything, he said gently. I know, she replied. That is why I stopped. There was a quiet pause between them. Would you like to get coffee sometime? Micheal asked, his voice calm. Just coffee. Isabella felt her breath catch. Coffee was simple. Coffee was normal. And yet it felt like a step into unfamiliar ground. She thought of her mother, her friends, her job. She thought of the rules she had lived by without question. I am not sure, she said honestly. People might talk. They already do, Micheal replied with a small smile. But I understand. She nodded, grateful for his understanding, yet disappointed in herself. That evening, Isabella met her friend for drinks. The bar was filled with familiar faces and familiar talk. Work stories, complaints, gossip. When Isabella mentioned the fire, her friend brushed it off. At least the building staff did their job, her friend said. That is what they are paid for. Isabella felt something twist inside her. He risked his life, she said quietly. Her friend laughed lightly. You are thinking too much. Do not turn kindness into something else. But Isabella knew it already was something else. That night, she lay awake again, staring at the ceiling. She thought about Micheal's steady hands, his calm voice, the way he never once asked who she was or what she did. She realized she had spent her whole life being seen for her position, not her person. The next day, Isabella made a decision that scared her. She took the elevator down to the lower floors and found Micheal in the parking area. I would like that coffee, she said before she could talk herself out of it. Micheal looked surprised, then pleased. There is a small place nearby, he said. Nothing fancy. That is fine, Isabella replied. I do not need fancy. They met the next evening. The coffee shop was warm and simple. People sat close together, talking and laughing. No one looked important. No one cared who she was. Micheal arrived wearing clean jeans and a plain shirt. He looked comfortable, like he belonged. As they talked, Isabella learned more about him, his studies, his dreams, his volunteer work. He spoke with honesty, never trying to impress her. For the first time in a long time, Isabella felt relaxed. When she asked Micheal if he was happy, his answer stayed with her. Happiness is knowing your life has meaning, he said. Driving home later, Isabella realized something had shifted. The world she once trusted felt smaller now, and the man she once ignored felt larger than anything she had known. She knew one thing for sure. This was only the beginning. After the coffee, Isabella could no longer pretend her life was the same. She woke up the next morning with a strange mix of calm and fear sitting in her chest. Calm, because something inside her felt honest for the first time in years. Fear, because she knew honesty came with a price. At work, people looked at her a little longer than usual. Some smiles felt forced. Some greetings sounded thin. Isabella noticed everything now. She realized how much people watched each other in this building, how quickly stories moved from desk to desk. By mid-morning, her assistant stepped into her office and closed the door. "Isabella," she said carefully, "people are talking." Isabella nodded. "I know. They say you were seen having coffee with one of the cleaning staff." "Micheal," Isabella said. "His name is Micheal." Her assistant hesitated. "I just wanted you to be aware. Management notices these things." After she left, Isabella sat alone, staring at the city outside her window. The buildings had not changed. The streets below still moved the same. But inside her, something was pulling in two directions. That afternoon, her phone rang. It was her mother. "Isabella," her mother said, skipping any greeting. "Is it true?" "Is what true?" Isabella asked, though she already knew, "that you are spending time with a janitor." Her mother's voice carried sharp disbelief. "Yes," Isabella replied. "We had coffee." There was silence on the line. Then a cold breath. "Have you lost your mind?" her mother asked. "Do you understand what this looks like?" "It looks like two people having coffee," Isabella said. "It looks like you throwing away everything we worked for," her mother snapped. "Your reputation, your future, your position." Isabella closed her eyes. "He saved my life." "That changes nothing," her mother replied. "Gratitude does not mean romance." "It is not romance," Isabella said, though she was no longer sure. Her mother warned her again about gossip, about promotion, about family shame. When the call ended, Isabella felt drained. That evening, Isabella met Micheal for a walk near the lake. The air was cool. The water moved slowly. People passed them without care. "You seem quiet," Micheal said. "My mother knows," Isabella replied. Micheal stopped walking. "I am sorry." "You have nothing to be sorry for," Isabella said quickly. "You did nothing wrong." "I knew this would happen," he said softly. "People like me come with consequences." She looked at him, hurt by his words. "You are not a problem." "I know," Micheal said. "But the world does not always agree." They sat on a bench, watching the water. Micheal told her about his past, about school, about trying and failing to get interviews, about working nights to pay bills. "I never thought my life would look like this," he admitted. "But I learned not to measure myself by what people see." Isabella listened, ashamed of how easily she had judged others without knowing their stories. The next day at work, Isabella was called into a meeting. Two managers sat across from her, their faces polite but stiff. "Isabella," one of them said, "we have concerns." "About my work?" she asked. "No," the other replied. "About your judgment." They spoke carefully, choosing words that sounded professional but carried clear meaning. Image, representation, leadership. They reminded her of the promotion she wanted. Isabella felt anger rise. "So my personal life affects my ability to do my job." "Perception matters," one of them said. Isabella left the meeting with shaking hands. For the first time, success felt like a cage. That night, Micheal called her. "You sound tired," he said. "I am," she admitted. "Everything feels heavy." There was a pause before he spoke again. "Isabella," he said, "I need to say something." She waited. "I care about you," Micheal said, "but I do not want to be the reason you lose your life." "You are not taking anything from me," she said. "I am choosing." I just want you to be sure, he replied. This road is not easy. I know, Isabella said, but neither is living a lie. Days passed. The pressure grew. Messages, looks, warnings wrapped in polite words. One evening, Isabella sat alone in her apartment, surrounded by silence. She thought about her career, her family, her future. Then she thought about Micheal carrying her down those stairs. The choice became clear. The next morning, Isabella walked into her manager's office. I am resigning, she said. He stared at her, stunned. You are throwing away a promotion. No, Isabella replied. I am choosing my life. That evening, she met Micheal at the coffee shop. I quit, she said simply. He looked at her with worry. Isabella, you did not have to do that. I wanted to, she replied. For the first time, I wanted something real. Micheal reached for her hand. Careful, grateful. You are brave, he said. No, Isabella replied softly. I am finally honest. As they sat together, Isabella felt fear still there, but it no longer controlled her. She knew storms were coming, but she also knew she was no longer alone. Leaving her old job felt strange, not like freedom at first, but like stepping into open air after living too long in a closed room. Isabella woke up the next morning without an alarm, without meetings waiting, without a calendar full of things she no longer believed in. The quiet scared her, but it also felt honest. She sat at her kitchen table with a cup of plain coffee, thinking about everything she had lost in one decision. The office, the title, the approval of people who once praised her. Her phone was silent now, no work messages. No polite pressure, just space. Later that day, Isabella met Micheal at a small park in Chicago. Children played nearby. Older people sat on benches. Life moved without caring who she used to be. You okay? Micheal asked, as they walked slowly. I think so, Isabella replied. I feel like I jumped off something high, and I am still falling, he nodded. Falling can be scary. But I am not falling alone, she said, looking at him. They talked about practical things. Rent, bills, what came next. Micheal did not promise her an easy life. He did not paint a dream that was not real. He told her the truth. It will be hard, he said. Some days will feel heavy. I know, Isabella replied. But hard does not scare me anymore. Empty does. Over the next weeks, Isabella began building something new. She reached out to small groups, community centers, and nonprofits. She offered her skills without the sharp tone she once used in boardrooms. Some people were cautious. Some were grateful. Slowly, work began to grow. Her income dropped. Her lifestyle changed. She learned how to shop carefully, how to cook more, how to live without excess. At first, it felt like loss. Then it felt like balance. Micheal supported her quietly. He worked long hours, still cleaning buildings while applying for consulting work. Some nights, he came home tired, his shoulders heavy. Isabella saw the effort he had always carried without complaint. One evening, Isabella came home to find Micheal sitting at the table, holding his phone. I got a call, he said. Her heart tightened. Good or bad? Good, he said, smiling. A company wants me to help them reduce waste. Just a small project, but it is a start. Isabella felt joy rush through her, deep and warm. That is amazing. It is because of the clinic I volunteer at, he explained. Someone noticed my work. She realized something then. This life worked differently. Not through power or image, but through people who saw effort and care. Not everyone was happy for them. Isabella's mother showed up unannounced one afternoon. She stood in the doorway of Isabella's apartment, her posture stiff, her eyes sharp. You really did it, her mother said. You walked away. Yes, Isabella replied calmly. Her mother looked around the small space. The simple furniture, the lack of luxury. Is this what you wanted? She asked. This is where I am, Isabella answered. Her mother finally looked at Micheal, standing quietly beside her daughter. So you are the reason, she said. Micheal met her gaze without fear. No, ma'am. She made her own choice. There was tension in the room, thick and heavy. Do you love my daughter? Her mother asked. Yes, Micheal said. I do. And what can you give her? Her mother pressed. Security, status, comfort. I can give her honesty, Micheal replied. Support, respect, and a life where she is seen, not displayed. Isabella held her breath. Her mother said nothing for a long moment. Then she turned away. This is not the life I wanted for you, she said softly. It is the life I chose, Isabella replied. Her mother left without another word. Weeks passed. Micheal's work grew slowly. Isabella's business found its footing. They learned how to argue without breaking each other, how to rest without guilt, how to build something together. One night, as they walked home after dinner, Micheal stopped. Isabella, he said. Yes, I need to ask you something. Her chest tightened. Do you ever regret choosing me? He asked quietly. She stepped closer. Not for 1 second. He looked relieved, like a weight had lifted. I was afraid you would wake up one day and miss the old life, he said. I do miss parts of it, she admitted. But I do not miss who I was. They stood there, holding hands, understanding that love did not remove fear. It gave strength to face it. Soon, change reached them again. Isabella received a message from someone she once worked with, a woman who admired her courage. She wanted help building something meaningful. Not a big company, something honest. Isabella smiled as she read the message. Later that night, she shared the news with Micheal. See, he said, you did not lose everything. I lost what did not matter, she replied, and found what does. As they sat together, planning the future with careful hope, Isabella thought back to the stairwell. The smoke, the pain, the moment everything shifted. That was when her old life ended. And this one truly began. Love did not arrive in Isabella's life like a celebration. It arrived quietly, through hard days, small rooms, and choices that asked her to be brave when no one was clapping. By the time she realized how deep her love for Micheal had grown, it no longer felt new. It felt settled, strong, and true. Their days found a rhythm. Morning started early. Micheal often left first, still taking on part-time cleaning work while growing his consulting projects. Isabella stayed behind some mornings, working on plans for her small business, answering emails from community groups and small organizations that trusted her voice and skills. The work paid less, but it fed her in a way her old job never did. Some evenings were quiet. Other nights were full of laughter. They cooked together, burned meals together, learned together. They talked about dreams, fears, and the kind of life they wanted to build. Not a perfect life, a real one. One evening, as rain fell softly outside their apartment, Isabella sat on the couch watching Micheal read through reports. He looked tired, but focused. She studied him without speaking. What? He asked, noticing her gaze. I was just thinking, she said. About what? About how strange life is, Isabella replied. How one moment can change everything. Micheal closed the papers and moved closer. The fire. Yes, she said. If you had not stopped, I do not know where I would be. You would have found your way, he said. No, Isabella replied gently. I needed someone to show me a different path. Micheal reached for her hand. You walked it yourself. That was always how it was between them. No one saving the other, just choosing each other. Change came slowly, but it came. Micheal's consulting work began to grow. One project led to another. Word spread, not through powerful names, but through honest results. He helped small businesses cut waste, save money, and work smarter. People trusted him because he listened. One afternoon, he came home smiling in a way Isabella had never seen before. I can leave cleaning work soon, he said. Her eyes filled. I am so proud of you. It is because people gave me a chance, Micheal said. Something not everyone gets. Isabella understood that deeply now. Her own work began to reach farther too. A local nonprofit invited her to lead outreach efforts. A small business owner asked for her advice. Slowly, her name became known, not for status, but for care. One evening, her phone rang. It was her mother. They had spoken little since the confrontation. Short calls, careful words. "I heard about your work," her mother said. "People speak well of it." "Thank you," Isabella replied. There was a pause. "I also heard Micheal is doing well," her mother added. "Yes," Isabella said. "He is." Another pause, longer this time. "I would like to have dinner," her mother said. "With both of you." Isabella's heart beat heavy, not from fear, but from hope. The dinner was not easy. Her mother asked questions. Micheal answered calmly, honestly. There were tense moments. There were quiet ones, too. At the end of the night, her mother stood up. "I may not fully understand," she said, "but I see that you are loved." That was enough. Months later, on a warm evening in Chicago, Micheal took Isabella to the same coffee shop where everything had truly begun. The place was full, loud, alive. They sat at their old table. "You seem nervous," Isabella said, smiling. "I am," Micheal admitted. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small ring. Simple, honest. "Isabella," he said, his voice steady, "I cannot promise you ease. I cannot promise you wealth. But I can promise you loyalty, respect, and love every day of my life." Tears ran down her face before she could speak. "Yes," she said. "Always yes." Their wedding was small, held in a community center filled with people who mattered. Not because of titles, because of hearts. Friends, neighbors, people whose lives they had touched and who had touched theirs. Isabella stood beside Micheal, holding his hands, feeling complete. When she spoke her vows, her voice was clear. "I once believed love had rules," she said. "I believed it had limits. You showed me love has courage." Micheal smiled, eyes soft. "I once believed people like me were not chosen," he said. "You showed me love sees worth." As they walked out together, married, united, Isabella thought back to the words she once said without thought. She would never date a poor black man. She smiled now, knowing how wrong she had been. Micheal did not just save her life that night in the stairwell. He helped her find it. Dear viewers, this story is not just about Isabella and Micheal. It is about how love shows up when we least expect it, and how it often comes from places we were taught to ignore. This story reminds us that the people we walk past every day carry stories, pain, strength, and goodness we may never see unless life forces us to slow down. It reminds us that love is not about money, titles, or what looks good to the world. Love is about who stays when things fall apart, who chooses you when walking away would be easier. Isabella thought she knew what love looked like. Micheal showed her that love is quiet courage, steady hands, and a heart that does the right thing without asking for praise. Together, they chose truth over fear, character over status, and that choice changed their lives forever. As you reflect on this story, ask yourself how many times we have judged people without knowing their hearts, and how many blessings we may have missed because of it. If this story touched you, please tell us where you are watching from in the comments, and share what lesson you learned from Isabella and Micheal's journey. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who needs a reminder that real love still exists. And if you want more emotional stories like this, comment "more stories," and you will be the first to receive our next powerful story. Before you go, answer these questions in the comments. 1. Would you have had the courage to choose love the way Isabella did? 2. Do you believe love should ever be limited by class or race? 3. What did this story teach you about the people we often overlook? Thank you for watching, and thank you for believing in stories that heal hearts.